Hey all my physicists, a warm welcome to all of you. In this video, we're gonna cover another important topic of quantum mechanics, which is Compton scattering. So we're gonna study some most important concept, formulas, previous year questions regarding to your MSc entrance. And if you are on my channel for the first time, then don't forget to subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon and set the notification to all so that you won't be missing any of the important update from my side. This is Anand, you're watching Physics Craze. Let's get started. So let us start from some theory. Now, according to the classical physics, before Compton have observed this thing, according to the classical physics, when an incident radiation fall on some particle, very small particles, what we observe that it gets scattered and we don't feel any difference between this scattered and incident radiation. The simplest example is our sky. We know that we have already studied why the sky has blue color or sky color. It is because when ray of light falls on the environmental particles which are very small, the blue color gets scattered more because of very small wavelength. But the shocking news came when Compton have done some experiment and he shared his observations. So according to Compton, what he observed, what exactly did he do? That he bombarded X-rays on graphite plate. Why graphite plate? Because it is light. So you can take any light element also. In our discussion to form derivation, we're gonna consider very small particle which is electron. So according to A.H. Compton, when we bombard X-rays on these light materials like graphite, what we observe that the scattered ray has different wavelength compared to the incident ray. Now this thing we can only explain with the help of particle nature of light. We cannot explain it using wave nature. So what he found that this scattered and incident radiation has different energies also. Why? Because we know in particle nature we consider light as a photon, and these photons had some energy which is given by h into nu, where nu is the frequency and we know that frequency is given by c by lambda. So if our wavelength is getting changed, it means its energy also get changed. So here what we are considering that our incident radiation has some energy h nu and it strike with the light materials, it gets scattered. Now it has some less energy h nu dash. So where does this energy go? The simple explanation is the photons get strike, or we can say the photons collide with the electrons. They transfer some energy to the electron, and due to that the scattered radiation or the scattered photon has less energy. So here we can see this is the basic, we can say simple diagrammatic explanation of Compton effect, where we have some incident photon having some energy h nu, and here what we have considered for our simplicity, we have considered an electron which is at rest. So here the rest mass of the electron is m naught, and we will going to cover all of this derivation in the view of relativistic phenomena, and that's why here you can see momentum is given by these formulas. I'll explain it one by one. So what does he observe? He observed that when some incident photon having some energy falls on this electron absorbs some energy due to the collision between photon and electron, and this because of this energy the electron get recoiled at some angle beta. Here I have used beta. You can see another notation in different books also, and our photons get scattered with some angle alpha. So this whole process we're gonna derive the relations between energies between the scattered and angle and the incident radiation wavelength. All of these, the wavelength shift, all of these we're gonna derive using the collision between photon and electron and relativistic case. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna consider the laws of conservation, means laws of conservation like conservation of energy, conservation of momentum. We're gonna use these two laws to explain the whole process, and we're gonna find some relations. Now guys, we'll proceed with the derivation. So here you can see in the diagram, we have the basic diagram. Here we have incident radiation, our rest electron, and after the collision we have our scattered photon and recoiled electron. So we're gonna use conservation of energy and conservation of momentum. So before that, we have to know what are the momentums before the collision, energies, and momentum energy after the collision. So here I have made a short, we can say, table. Here before collision we have some values and after collision. So as we know that we will going to consider the relativistic case, that's why we're gonna write some values. I'll explain one by one. So first of all, before collision, what energy that our photon has? It has h nu energy with some frequency nu and wavelength lambda. The momentum of photon is given by h nu by c. If you don't know from where this momentum came, so let me just explain you. In the relativistic case, we have the relation of momentum and energy, which is given by E square equals to P square C square plus M naught square C power 4. This relation we have, but for photon, the rest mass energy is 0. That's why this term will came up to 0, and we only have the relation between energy and momentum for photons only. So what we are remain with, we have E square equals to P square C square, where P is the momentum and E is the energy of that photon. So here we can write E equals to Pc, which is P equals to E by C. It means momentum of a photon is given by energy divided by C. So here we have directly written this is the energy and divided by C. So momentum of incident photon is h nu by C. Now the rest mass energy of electron will be m naught c square. As we know that it is a relativistic case, that's why we have to consider it. Now after the collision, when that electron get recoiled with some angle beta and our photon gets scattered with some angle alpha, the energy of photon would become h nu dash, because there will be a shift, there is a transformation of energy. That's why the energy of photon will reduce and it will have h nu dash, a new energy. Similarly, we can write momentum of that photon after collision will be h nu by c from the previous formula, P equals to E by C. And now the energy of recoiled electron from the Einstein's mass energy equivalence, we can write mc square. Now here m is different, m is given by m naught divided by root of 1 minus v square by c square. We already have done this in special theory of relativity. If you haven't watched that video, please go and watch. Now the momentum of recoiled electron will be mv, where v is the velocity with which the electron is moving, and m we know that we have already discussed, m is m naught divided by root of 1 minus v square by c square. Now we'll proceed with the derivation part. So first of all, we're gonna use conservation of momentum. So now momentum is a vector quantity. So what conservation of momentum says, it says that the net momentum before collision should be equals to net momentum after collision. Net momentum means whatever momentum you have to sum up all those. If they are in same direction, you have to add it. If they are in opposite direction, you have to subtract it. So what we're gonna do, since it is a vector quantity, we're gonna talk about separately. First for x-axis and after that next relation for z-axis. So here you can see, if I just consider my conservation of momentum for x-axis. So here what we have on the x-axis, before collision we have our photon, or we can say incident radiation, which has momentum h nu by c. But after collision what we have, guys, we have scattered photon and recoiled electron, but they are in some other direction. So what we have to do, we have to take components of their momentum. So here if you'll see, the component of scattered photon will be h nu by c cos alpha, and component of recoiled electron will be mv cos beta, not sin, cos beta. So we're gonna add them after the collision. So here we can have this relation. You can see this is the momentum of that incident photon before the collision, and this is the total momentum after the collision. Similarly, we're gonna solve for z-axis also. But here in the z-axis, you can see in the direction of z, initially we do not have any momentum. So what we'll write initially the net momentum was 0. But after the collision, we have two momentum in different directions. Here this sign, the sign component of scattered photon and sign component of recoiled electron. But these both momentums are in opposite direction. That's why we'll subtract it. So here what we have written, 0 equals to h nu by c sin alpha minus mv sin beta. So this is the first equation that we have. Now we're gonna use conservation of energy, and conservation of energy also tells that total energy before the collision should be equals to total energy after the collision. So here this is the total energy before the collision, h nu is the energy of incident photon, m naught c square is the rest mass energy of electron, and after the collision we have energy of scattered photon and energy of recoiled electron. We're gonna calculate it, but for this time we can write this equation as this. Now we have got two equations, equation number 1 and 2. Well, what we're gonna do, see, now in the equation first we're gonna multiply each term with C. Now if I just multiply with C, C and C, so what we can say that C and C will get cancelled in this both of the terms, and now I am gonna take h nu by cos alpha on the left hand side. So what we'll have h nu minus h nu dash cos alpha, and on the right hand side we'll have mvc cos beta, this term. So here I can take h outside, we'll have v nu minus nu dash cos alpha, which is equals to mvc cos beta. So you cos beta. Here you can see we have written that. We just can write by multiplying C. Now the second term we also have to multiply with C. What we'll get C and C get cancelled out here, and we'll take the negative component or the negative part on the left hand side. So what will remain with? Will remain with mvc sin beta equals to h nu dash sin alpha. So here we have got new relations from this momentum conservation. So what we're gonna do here, if you'll see, we have cos beta and sin beta term. So we can just square and add it. What will happen? We'll have some cos square beta plus sin square beta term. And we know that this is the relation which always gives 1. So what we're gonna do, we'll just gonna square and add the two equations. So at last what we'll have on the left hand side m square v square c square. On the right hand side what we have to do, we just have to expand this using the expansion rule, a minus b ka whole square. So if you'll do that, you don't have to remember all much, but these are some steps that you should know. So if you do the expansion, you will have this last term which is remain, and we will say this equation as the fourth equation. So you don't have to remember this first, second, third and fourth equation. At last I'll tell you which equation and which values you have to remember. Now what we're gonna do from equation 2. Now where is our equation 2? It is here. From equation 2, what I can write, I just can take h nu dash on the left hand side. So I will take h and h common. We'll have mc square equals to h nu minus nu dash plus m naught c square. After this, we're gonna square the equation. This equation, if we'll square it, so what we'll get m square c power 4, and we'll expand it using a plus b whole square formula. So you'll get this much of the long relation. You don't have to remember it. You know what you have to do just. And if you'll follow the rules, you will see mathematical will automatically give you these results. What we're gonna do now, this fourth and fifth equations are very important. This and this equation. We're gonna subtract this fourth equation from the fifth. Okay, and when you will do it, you have to put the value of m, which we know it is equal to this one. When you do all of these lengthy calculation, you will remain with a very unique value, which is given by 1 over nu dash minus 1 over nu equals to h over m naught c square 1 minus cos alpha. If you'll do that, here I have already written that you have to subtract equation number 4 from equation number 5. You will remain with this value. Now this is very unique. Why? If you'll see, if I just multiply these two terms with c, c and c, what will remain with? This value will give lambda dash and this value will give lambda from the formula. So what we'll have, we're gonna have lambda dash minus lambda. It should be equals to h by m naught c and 1 minus cos alpha. Now this lambda dash minus lambda, it is what? It is the shift in wavelength that we wanted to calculate, because Compton has observed this thing. So we, from the initial, we wanted to calculate this shift in wavelength, and this is written by d lambda. So we can write d lambda equals to h by m naught c 1 minus cos alpha. Now here you have to think about it. This relation is very important, and there are very important points which is hidden in this equation, in this last result. Now you just have to remember this result, only this result, which is called as shift in wavelength. Now this value h by m naught c, we know that m naught is what? It is the rest energy of electron, c is the speed of light, and h is Planck's constant. All of these are constant. So this value will come up to as a constant, and if you will see, it has dimension of length. When you will calculate by putting all the values, you will see that this lambda c is calculated, or it will give the value which is 0.024 into 10 power minus 10 meter, and we know that 10 power minus 10 meter is angstrom unit, so we can directly write it will be come up to 0.024 angstrom. So this value is called as Compton wavelength. We called it as Compton wavelength. There is a reason, I'll tell you. Now we're gonna see some important points from this equation, this result. The result, we know it is given by d lambda equals to h by m naught c 1 minus cos alpha. So don't forget this. This is the very important formula of quantum scattering. Now if you'll see from that formula, d lambda is a function of alpha only. And what was the alpha? Alpha was the scattering angle of photons. Okay? It was the scattering angle of photon. So this d lambda is only depends on angle of scattering. It does not depend what wavelength have you incident and with what material you are scattering the incident wavelength. It doesn't matter. What matters is with what angle your photon is get scattered. So we can say it is independent of wavelength of incident radiation and nature of scatterer from which it is colliding. Now if I put alpha equals to 180 degree, we know that cos alpha, if it is cos 180 degree, it will give us value which is equals to minus 1. So we can see d lambda will be lambda c into 2, because 1 plus 1 will become 2. So we'll have a total shift of wavelength which is twice of Compton wavelength, and this is the maximum possible shift. This is the maximum possible shift in any case. If it is asked in the question that you have to calculate the maximum possible shift, so you just have to put alpha equals to 180 degree. The fourth point is Compton shift is most readily detected for radiation where lambda is not greater than few angstrom. It means, I'll tell you what is observed. If my lambda is 5 angstrom, if my lambda is 5, the incident radiation has this lambda 5 angstrom, so we're gonna see the maximum shift is which is 1% of the original wavelength. And if we use wavelength, incident wavelength, which is near about 1 angstrom, we can see the maximum possible shift as 5% of the incident radiation. So that's why it is said that if we want to observe the Compton shift, it is very important to use a radiation which is greater than very few angstrom. We can say which is of a 2, 3, 5, 6 angstrom only. So we can easily see that shift. And this was the result which was observed from the experiment I have given here. So now guys, we're gonna calculate the energy of scattered photons and recoiled electron. So see, we know that the scattered photon has frequency nu dash, and we know the energy of photon is given by h into frequency. So what we have to find, we just have to find the value of nu dash. If we can find that, so we can just multiply it by Planck's constant, we'll have the energy of photon. So we're gonna use this previous result that I have told you. If you subtract the fourth equation with fifth one, you will have this relation. I've told you earlier. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just write this minus 1 over nu on the right hand side. It will become 1 plus nu, plus 1 over nu. And what you have to do, you just have to replace the position of numerator and denominator. You will have this value. Here we have got nu dash. What we have to do now, we just have to multiply it with by h. So I'm gonna multiply it with by h. So here I'll have this value. Again, I'm gonna do one thing more. I'm gonna multiply and divide it by nu. I'm gonna multiply and divide it by nu. What will happen, if you'll see, this will become, the numerator will become h nu, which is the energy of incident photon. And if I multiply this nu inside, this nu will here and here. So nu and nu will get cancelled. We'll have 1, and here we'll have h nu by m naught c square 1 minus cos alpha. So finally, we're gonna have this value of scattered photons energy, and this will be equals to h nu over 1 plus h nu by m naught c square 1 minus cos alpha. I know this is bit bigger expression to remember, but I have one short simple trick which I have made on my basis. Here I can write that h nu over m naught c square can be written as m naught c square, h by m naught c multiplied by nu by c. This h by m naught c is called as Compton wavelength. We know it is lambda c, and this nu by c gives the wavelength of incident radiation, so that will become lambda. So here we can write this value as lambda c into lambda, and what we have 1 minus cos alpha also. So this lambda c into 1 minus cos alpha, we have our first relation, which is shift in wavelength given by delta lambda. So what I can write, I can directly write delta lambda multiplied by lambda, where lambda is what? Lambda is the wavelength of incident radiation. So instead of this, what you can write h nu dash equals to h nu divided by 1 plus lambda into delta lambda. See, now this h nu dash and h nu, it is very easy to remember. How? We know that the photon will transfer some energy to the electron, so this scattered photon will have less energy compared to the incident photon. So here if you see, the denominator is greater than 1, and if you know a little bit mathematics, you can directly say that this h nu dash will always gonna less than be h nu. Okay, now we're gonna find the kinetic energy of recoiled electron. So on the basis of conservation of energy, we can say if we subtract the energy of incident photon from we can say if we subtract the energy of incident photon and scattered photon, we'll get the energy which is transferred through, or which is transferred to the electron. So here, to find the kinetic energy of electron, we're just gonna subtract these two values, h nu minus h nu dash. So from the previous equation, from here I can write the value of h nu dash, and that will be this much. Now I'm gonna take h nu outside, common, will give this value. Now you just have to do cross multiplication, and at last you will remain with this value. H nu outside, inside the bracket, this much. Now we know this equation is also a bit longer, so what we'll do, we'll just convert this value. We know we have done, it is delta lambda into lambda. So this equation we can also write the energy of recoiled electron will be h nu, and inside the bracket delta lambda into lambda divided by 1 plus delta lambda into lambda. If you can remember this, equation, it's your choice. Otherwise I have we can say resolved, or I have converted the equation into a simpler one. So this is, you can remember it easily compared to this equation. So this much is the formula. You just have to remember this formula, and we have already done this formula. You just have to remember this one. And one more important thing, guys, you're gonna use this formula also, or this relation also. Okay, so you just have to remember this 4 relation in whole Compton scattering, so you can attain any question from the Compton scattering. We're gonna solve those questions in our next video, and I'll drop a PDF in my group also. If you haven't joined the group, then please go join the Telegram group, where I'll share questions regarding to the Compton scattering. Now the last thing that we don't need to solve, it is relation between alpha and beta. Is there any relation between alpha and beta? Means the scattered angle and the recoiled angle of electron. So yes, there is a relation, and it is given by this value. Now you have to remember this, guys. You can find it. It is very easy. From the conservation of momentum relation, you can directly find it. Okay. What we had MVC cos beta equals to something, and MVC sin beta equals to something. So from there you can write it, but it is very easy to remember this. I know it's not easy, but instead of doing that much of long calculation, you can directly write this in your notes, that this is the relation between alpha and beta. Now there are some notable points that I want to share with you. If the X radiation collides with bound electron, what we have assumed, electron which is at rest, but what we have to do, we have to fall that incident radiation on some material, and if this incident radiation collides with bound electron, what will happen? Not only the electron, but whole atom will recoil. The whole atom of that electron from which it is bounded, that whole atom will get recoiled. So what we're gonna change? See, we have the wavelength shift as lambda c 1 minus cos alpha, sorry, not lambda c, delta lambda as h by m naught c 1 minus cos alpha. So here what we have considered initially, we have a rest electron. That's why we have written here the rest mass of that electron. But now if the whole atom recoils, we have to replace this rest mass of the electron with the mass of the whole atom. And we know that this mass of whole atom is very greater than compared to the single electron. So what we're gonna see, in this case the denominator is very large, and this shift in a wavelength, conversely we can say this shift in wavelength will decrease. Why? Because the denominator is getting increased. So if this radiation collides with the bound electron, we will never see, or we can say we can hardly see, there is a shift in wavelength. The next point is, here I have written that was the point, because Ma is very greater than M0, so we're gonna have very less wavelength, very less shift in wavelength, which is basically not observable. So this was the important point. I thought it may come in your exam like in MCQ part or MSQ part, that's why I've shared it. So this is it from my side, guys. If you want to get questions regarding to Compton scattering, you have to join the Telegram group. You just have to search Physics Craze on Telegram, you'll get the group and join it. There I have shared lot of lecture notes, assignments and all the required material in the PDF form. So we'll meet in the next one, guys. Till then, best of luck and take care.